Usually I do this talk in 20 minutes, so I got 10 minutes, and I want to show our really cool content at the end. So I'm going to do it in 8 minutes, so there'll be no dad jokes. So for all the dads in the room, they're not going to get any lame dad jokes. So see me afterwards, I can hit you up with dad jokes. Just getting it loaded up here. How many people here are developers? And then just keep your hands up. How many are independent developers? Right, a couple people, okay. So I'll appeal to 2 people in the room. Perfect. That's usually my audience. A little bit about us. We've been in the mobile game space for as long as there's been mobile games. Before that, we're Facebook developers. Been in the business for back when there's MySpace games, actually. Trailer Park Boys Greasy Money is the most Canadian collaboration ever, and it's a mockumentary. And it's a great show if you haven't watched it. It's been around forever, and it recently just revived on Netflix for a new audience. It's pretty big in Canada. It's doing unique content as well, so they're kind of published by Netflix now. And some of our game stats right now. So we launched on 420, of course, naturally. And we were able to, as an independent studio, get to these are great numbers. So the big one was #1 app and game in Canada, and the #4 game in the US, both on iOS, and the #8 game for Android. We made games of 2000. They go by Clicker, but I think they're idle as well. And it's the greasiest game ever made. So we're definitely making, the point of that is we're making a game for a very cult IP, a very Canadian IP. I got these from DC Games Consulting. It was at the Pocket Gamer Connects in San Francisco when he did a talk, and it's a pretty growing genre, and a lot of independents and big studios are making them. So I'm just going to go through 3 quick lessons and how we didn't fuck up. And but I want to go over some things on what we did right, but then I would redo. So the 3 themes are: be true to the IP, you can't over communicate with the IP, and engaging the fans and closing the loop. So be true to the IP. Core fans of IPs, if you're going to do an IP, red is what we did, and it failed. We tried to be too clever. We thought because we were power users of the Trailer Park Boys IP, we hired all this writing team, we wrote all these really jokes. Didn't like it at all. All we found that was relive those that they watched again. So now what we do is we take from the old, from the first season games format, and the sure that your game mechanics is in your naming. The smallest details. As soon as you screw up one thing, it's all over every social media about how stupid you are, you didn't get it right, and they get really angry about it. But that engagement is also really good because it shows they're passionate and they care. Probably the best piece of feedback that we got this entire year has been this write-up from Touch Arcade in the Top 100 iOS Buyer's Guide. It says, where it basically goes into the theme of that they really nailed the game for true fans, but if you're not a fan, you can get into it as well. So if you're going to make something based on an IP, you really have to make sure you have that delicate balance, that it makes sense for fans, but it also makes sense for people that know about it, and makes sense for people that have never gotten into it and now want to watch the IP. So that's the whole loop. For lesson 2, this is something that we're going to do going forward with our new games. You can't over communicate with the IP for original content. So we waited way too long to ask and re-ask and really let the IP know that we need some original content that's based on the game. And that's really important, because what fans of the IP really want to see is they really want to see if they're playing the game and they've consumed all the content in Netflix or the movie or the TV series, that there's something new here. There's a little nugget of like maybe what could happen. And I think that opens a door for IPs being really interested in games as a new form of reaching their wider audience. At the very end, I'll show you one of these videos because I think they're hilarious. But they actually, starting halfway into the project, started creating original content for us, including Christmas events. The Swear Night Halloween one's really good. And we were able to create, after they allowed us to run the game for 6 months, we convinced them that they should allow us to make something new in the universe, and they allowed us to make an interactive sort of zombie alternative timeline, and the fans absolutely loved it. The engagements were crazy. The last one is just engaging the fans and closing the loop. So you want to make sure that when you're working with you kind of have two partners here. You have your fans that you're building the game for, but you also have the IP as well. So any little thing that you can do to put the fans back to the original IP is huge. So for example, on our live streams, if they're going to have drinks with Dev and drink beer, they'll drink the Trailer Park Boys beer, or we'll ask them for merch from the store. If they're selling a shirt or whatever, we'll wear those shirts, just to always give that extra push to them. In newsletters, we'll talk about when their new season's coming up, that sort of stuff. The way you got to think about it is, as a fan, I think fans think we all live in the same office. We have like, actually, if fans watch this later, this is actually true. We all live in the trailer park. You know, Ricky, Julie, and Bubbles have their office. My game team has an office. We make beer in the back, and we have that. But to fans, they actually think like it's really cohesive. So the more that you could make that seem like not two separate companies and just one big company making the brand, the more it comes off as genuine, and fans really like that. So here's some examples of, on both sides, how we engage fans. So we not only do a live stream with our own community influencers in-house, where we talk about live from Sunnyvale, we also will talk about new stuff that they have out, and we'll also get them to vote on new assets in the game. You can see the engagement on that one's actually pretty high. We'll get 2,000 people that will vote on something, and those are really engaged fans. So even if you only get 500 or 1,000 the first time that you do that, those are 500 or 1,000 people that are really engaged, probably your top players in the game. It's really important to keep the dialogue open with them. And this is just something that we always say on the community for branding that we've kind of done since the beginning, that, you know, every small quality piece that you can actually do while working with the brand, you want to make sure you bring that out. Every little small piece of polish that you can do to make it good. The fans are going to see that, and the IP is going to see that. And the bonus was get help. So since we've been around forever and we've grown to 70 plus people now, we're still an independent studio, bootstrapped and profitable, but we want to make sure that we don't we don't think we know everything, because obviously we don't, and we fuck up a lot. So we brought in some consultants. They took a look at what was working in the game. They helped us kind of polish it, and I think now that's how business is changing for independent game developers, is you have to kind of budget that in. We spend so much on user acquisition, but we won't spend some time at the end to bring somebody in that will actually look at your game and be like, this is a horrible idea. Because it's very few, you probably have very few people in your studio that are constantly going to look at the game at the end, it's getting ready to launch, and be like, this is a horrible idea, we shouldn't launch this. Probably nobody will say that. So it's good to have a consultant where they can just kind of look at that and help you kind of fix that in launches you have going forward if it is a horrible idea.